So I was just reading something. It's actually on Alex Jones' website, but the banksters and their lobbyists, namely this one is coming from Doing God's Work, Goldman Sachs, and they're trying to lobby Congress to see. Congress has to pass a budget, once again. And I thought they said it was due. What's today? They're trying to get this done by the 11th or the 13th. Yeah, so we got 3, 4, 5 days, whatever. I don't know if it's the 11th or the 13th. I want to say it's the 11th, December 11th. Today's the 8th. And they're trying to squeak in this legislation that has to get passed, which is the budget. And, funding, whatnot. They want to put in this, what they call earmark or pork or, nonsense, whatever you want to call it. They want to add, the FDIC is all of ours, insurance. When it comes to, let's just say, hang on a second. I'm on my way in, period. I will check it when I get there. So, FDIC insurance. That's the one that says, if you have $100,000 in the bank, or I thought they upped it to $200,000 now, you're safe. And American banks that are FDIC insured, which all of them are practically, your money's safe if there's a big crash. So what the banksters want to do, they're trying to push, and they did put it in this legislation that was just passed around to try to get the budget passed. They threw in there, we want to make it so that the FDIC is responsible for any major derivatives losses to the banking industry. We want the taxpayers, via their FDIC insurance company, to foot that bill should we lose any money on derivatives contracts, any big failures. Now keep in mind, these derivatives contracts that JP Morgan and the rest of the too big to fail banks actually created out of nothing. It was their idea many years ago. Remember old Blythe Masters was on TV a while back talking about it. And they're kind of giggling and laughing about how we were, like these crazy young college kids, we came up with this idea, and like it was funny or something. The financial neutron bomb that they've created is funny, but so the way they work now is they have these things called credit default swaps, CDSs, credit default swaps. And you'll notice all these financial terms, they just give them these stupid, ridiculous names, and this makes it more complicated. You don't know what the hell is going on. What is it? What the hell is a credit default swap? Oh, it's just an insurance contract. Okay, so why don't you call it an insurance contract? A financial insurance contract. Now it's called a credit default swap. Sounds more sophisticated, man. Come on. Oh, all right. Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. Credit default swap. And what that is one bank charges another bank some money, kind of like an insurance contract. You got insurance with us. So that if your derivatives contracts blow up, we're responsible as a bank, except we're kind of sort of an insurance company now, to you for your insurance, for your credit or derivatives blow-ups, if they should occur. And the bank that just got insurance through you, they've also made some of those own contracts of themselves to insure some other bank. That if their credit default swaps, or their derivatives fail, then the credit default swaps kick in, insurance contract, and they bail them out. And if that third bank, who also created some credit default swaps and sold to another bank, it's a ring around the rosy daisy chain of them selling each other insurance on the same garbage products known as derivatives that when they explode will bring down the whole damn world's financial system. So now, if this works so good and you guys all have insurance with each other and you all have this massive banker bailout and you got tons of money, everything's good, why all of a sudden are you trying to get legislation passed and trying to be so damn sneaky that you try to have one of your crony congressmen put it in the bill, in a bill that has to get passed before December 11th. Oh my gosh, we're not going to have a budget if we don't do that. So, yeah, let's sneak it in this bill so that they're forced to pass it. And they want the FDIC insurance now to cover derivatives contracts. So again, why do you need that if you guys already wrote your own insurance? You've been collecting the money from each other all this time. And just right now, for some reason, after we're told we've definitely recovered, everything's are still, there's no crash, everything's good. Unemployment numbers, the fake crap numbers they give us, they tell us it's the real deal. So why do you need all of a sudden the FDIC to be a backstop against your derivatives contracts and your insurance contracts, that if you guys fail to pay out on those derivatives contracts when they fail, the credit default swaps, you need someone bigger, such as the FDIC insurance, to come, step in and foot the bill. Now, keep in mind, there's only somewhere around, and I don't know where it's at today because I have not looked in a long time, but from 2009, 10, and even 11, I'm pretty sure I was looking like every week. Which banks failed, how much money did it cost the FDIC insurance fund, and it seemed like it was always around $50 billion of money that kind of is where the FDIC insurance had in its, coffers to bail out some bank that needed it, FDIC insurance or whatever, as it failed. And then they had to marry it off to some other bank so that they would split the cost, basically. And the FDIC insurance would take some of the bill, and then the new bank that was getting all the old bank's customers that failed would foot some of the bill too in order to get all those customers, So, long story short, it was never like $100 billion. It was usually around $50 billion that they had in this little fund. The DIF fund is what they call it. Now, if that fund is used up because of a medium-sized, not a too big to fail bank, but just let's call it a large bank, were to fail, it will wipe the whole fund out by itself. That's how little that money is right now. So there's apparently, again, research I did back in the day, a law on the books that says if the FDIC insurance fund were to have a run dry, a catastrophic financial event, that they are allowed and will get $500 billion, so $500 billion, from the Treasury, U.S. Treasury, to help, I guess you could say, bail out the failing banking industry during a catastrophic event where people are having to go to their bank and being told that, there's no money here, kind of a thing. Before that would even happen, this would probably have kicked in, so that does not happen and cause a massive bank run across the country. But the bottom line is that would be only if the DIF fund ran out, and then they only have $500 billion. There are trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in the U.S. banking system. So the absolute best case scenario during the worst case scenario would be that all those trillions of dollars are lost and only half of 1 trillion or 500 billion are there for insurance purposes. And they're trying to get their derivatives contracts covered into that same fund. So here you and I are saying, oh, good thing we live in America, man. We've got some decent banking system. We've got these rules, regulations, laws in place. My money's safe in the bank. If I lose it, the average person doesn't have $200,000+ in the bank. The average person does not have $200,000+ in the bank. But I got 10,000, or I got 20,000, I got 50,000. Okay. Guess what? We're all covered. Catastrophic event, doesn't matter, we're covered. up to $200,000. And let's face it, the whole banking system at the same time couldn't possibly sustain a massive collapse, could they? I mean, massive bank run all together at the same time? Theoretically, yeah, it could, but maybe realistically, no, because they'll just take the money and fix this bank, that bank, shotgun married off to that bank, and just keep that going. So we're all fine. Then all of a sudden, let's say this law got passed. Then all of a sudden, FDIC insurance fund, yeah, listen, you got hit hard for $20 billion today alone. Just a couple of these derivatives contracts from Goldman Sachs blew up. They don't have the funding to pay for it, so they're asking the FDIC insurance to kick in and pay for it. Oh, okay. Well, it's now law, so let's go ahead and give them their $20 billion. And here you and I are thinking we only need thousands, if worst case scenario. And the same banking giants that caused this problem from the beginning with their crazy mortgage lending, lend to anybody, don't check any background, don't check if you have a job, don't check how much money you make, just sign here, you're approved. All these houses got sold, the prices were just skyrocketing because everyone was approved, and then the whole housing thing collapsed because they couldn't pay it. Excess amounts of housing on the market, massive foreclosures, the housing dropped tremendously in price and has still to this day not recovered to anywhere near where it was. And those are the same guys who did this, same banking giants. And now they want to take some of your insurance money that we all have been setting aside, so to speak, through the FDIC insurance, through our government and the FDIC insurance. And they want to use that now just in case derivatives crisis happens. We don't think it's going to happen, but all of a sudden we want to go ahead and get some contracts out now so that we're covered. Oh, you mean because you already know what's going to happen, because just like last time, you're going to do it. And then you'll use up all the DIF fund, and the rest of us who need it, there's not enough here. Well, we'll go to the Treasury, get the $500 billion. Oh, that's already gone. I was gone the next day. A couple other banks lost some derivatives contracts, and since the derivatives contracts amount to hundreds of trillions of dollars, yes, trillions, hundreds of trillions of dollars of derivatives are out there through these banks. And we only have half of $1 trillion in the worst case scenario available from the Treasury for all of us in the banking, that use a bank. This is one of those reasons why I say only keep enough money in the bank to do your monthly, maybe 2 months worth of bills. Take the rest of it out and store it in your safe. Go buy some silver with it, whatever. Just store it in your safe, if anything. And know that you have cash on hand. Some of you may say, I don't want to take out $40,000, $50,000 and put it in my safe, man, because if I do get hit, I just lost, my life savings. And that's scary. And I understand that. But if it's in the banking system, it looks like we might be having a problem here. Now, the good news about this is that they did the vote. They did vote on this piece of legislation. And it failed. And it didn't even get to the Senate. It got stopped already. That doesn't mean they're done trying. The big banks always get their way. Doesn't mean that they have a few more days to try to get sneak into some next legislation because they got to get this budget passed in, a few days. No, the banking industry say, there's another bill coming up in another month. 2 months, we'll try, we'll stick it in there. All right, guys, open up the vaults. Let's give some of these corrupt politicians some more campaign contributions, and see if we can get this pushed into one of these bills coming up, guys. Call some other lobbyist groups. Let's really push this one. We got to have this, guys. All right, Goldman Sachs, Lloyd Blankfein, we're doing God's work here, as you said, sir. You got it. Let's get my best guys on the job. And all I can say is God help you. God help this country if they are successful in getting that law, that piece of crap, into a bill and the bill passed into law to where the FDIC insurance is now responsible to cover derivatives losses. The only thing I could possibly see out of this would be the derivatives completely collapsing, causing the DIF fund to be completely wiped out, causing the $500 billion Treasury lending window to be wiped out. And then because that's wiped out, everyone's flipping out. So simultaneously, pass a law, Congress emergency meeting, pass this legislation to create unlimited amounts of money until this crisis has been averted. Give it to the FDIC insurance to cover anything they need, period. Okay, everyone in America, settle down. We got everyone covered. We've just changed the law. All amounts are safe now. And then we find out that they spent hundreds of trillions that they printed out of nowhere just for the banks. And because this was a massive nightmare, now our dollar's in deep trouble, guys. We got to get rid of this thing. Oh my God, it's painful. Prices are skyrocketing. What do? We got to join a new world order system so that this doesn't happen again, and etc. I could just see this kind of crap happening. But you never know. There could be enough decent people in Congress, which I almost feel like throwing up as I said that. So never mind. I was gonna say, maybe there's just enough people in Congress, decent people, that can kind of avert some of this stuff. Doesn't sound right. Doesn't feel right. Feels like I'm gonna throw up, actually. So, yeah. Take care.